Okay, we're doing this intro while we're moving. We're gonna find out today what is more efficient and by how much, climbing standing or seated. And we're gonna do that by climbing maybe 9,000 feet, the same 1,000 foot hill climb over and over again. It's a 25 foot hill climb, or a 25 minute hill climb. However, it's 1,000 feet. We're just gonna do it over and over again. And total kilojoules for the climb. Higher kilojoules will equal less efficient per the vertical foot. So that's the metric we're gonna do, starting now. The protocol is going to be trying to average about 190 watts on the odd ones, on the odd laps, which is this one, number one, the first odd lap, seated the whole time. On the even laps, we're gonna do as much standing as we can. Stay tuned. All right, so to give you a little bit of an idea of this climb, what it is, I think the KOM is like 14 minutes. So to do this climb in 25 is really just a nice zone 2 cruise. We're starting out pretty good here. Heart rate is very high. We are at 5,000 feet of elevation. Well, this goes from 4 to 5. So you should be fine if you just stay in zone 2. But I've acclimated pretty well to this. All right, so there's two reasons why I chose this route. Reason one is that there's a gazillion food stops along the way. So if I need water, sugar, whatever, although I won't need it, I can stop. So we can take this 5-hour ride and minimize it to only 6 minutes of not pedaling. It's great. Reason number two, there's a landslide at the bottom of this climb. What that has done is that there's no big trucks on this road anymore. It's totally empty everywhere you go. So you have a private 960 foot climb. You can just do it over and over again, no pollution. Beautiful cool air. This is about as much traffic as you'll see as this truck. Driving very quietly. So yeah, it's a great route. One of the unknown things that I didn't anticipate was I want to stand. I feel like I want to stand really badly, but I'm keeping my ass planted and even trying to stay aero while I'm doing this video to see the difference. All right, I'll show you at the top. All right, so climb one seated, 192 watts, a little over 25 minutes. That felt very hard, but we're just kind of warming up, I suppose, and adjusting to the wind. It's a bit windy up here. So let's head down and do it again. All right, so 24 and a half minutes, less than really, and 198 watts. So that's a bit surprising for standing. I thought it was going to be a lot different. I must have been standing for 15 minutes out of the 25. So that's crazy. Really not a big difference. Granted, we were about 6 watts higher. I'm gonna have to raise my seated wattage because I can't go less than 200. That's the problem, is I can't do less than 200 watts. That doesn't feel noticeably slow or unbelievable. We'll try again. So that was lap 2. Here we got that good stuff. That honey, that nampung, that Southeast Asia syrup. All right, so about the same power, 20 seconds faster, seated. So the difference is shrinking. It was our third lap, and honestly, the leg soreness is freaking crazy from sitting so much. We'll keep at it. One more lap, then we're taking a break. Holy crap, 23 minutes, 50 seconds, and 203 watts. That's, I mean, I feel, and that was standing. So it was our fastest time we did it standing, but it was about 6 watts more. So we are kind of right there in the noise. I'm not seeing a big difference here. Maybe even, to be honest, it might be more efficient to stand over the climbs. Over the steep sections, it might be more efficient to stand. Wow. The sugar cane. These are 45 cents each. It's seated 200 watts about 24 minutes. So I'm recording this a little late. So upping the wattage was a little bit better, but not crazy. That was seated, so you would think, you know, we'd be well under 24 minutes. 200 watts. Nope. 6th lap. We're right at about 6,000 feet, including the ride here. 6th lap. Still not really discernible, which is more efficient. We'll have to crunch the numbers when we get home. All right, final seated interval, 209 watts. 23 minutes, that was pretty quick. All right, time for our final standing interval. Holy, I'm going harder now because we got to finish this up before the sun goes down. The sun goes down in this ravine very early, but and we'll get a couple of different type of data points. Somebody's burning some crap in there. So let's get to it. Final one. Finished. 200, 227, 22 minutes standing. That was a good one. We'll do a little recap. What you got there? Okay, so here's the summary of the ride, and then we're going to get into the specific intervals. So we got 70 miles in 4 hours and 52 minutes moving, and I guess, oh, okay, so we had 10 minutes of stops, which was like a restroom break and a drink stop. 194 watts normalized, but the average power was 149. That kind of hides, because there's so many descents where I'm just coasting for 7 or 8 minutes. Yeah, not terrible. And then here are all of the Strava segments, and then I pulled those segments out into the 8 in question that were about 25 minutes each. So it says, okay, the seated ones, 192, 198. So the standing produced higher power on average by 5%, and then a higher climbing rate. And then it said seated was slightly more efficient. 3.724 VAM per watt versus 3.686. That's like nothing. That's like less than 1% difference. So my verdict on, is it faster to climb seated or standing? Honestly, if your power and your speed is bogging and you're on the road is pitching up, get out of the saddle. Seated is not, it's not worth it to try and stay seated. That's just my opinion. You know, I think it's just what it is.